the flow.
Sure. I
And
love
think,
having conversations, especially about rowing.
I know. Yeah, we are here live at the US Rowing Convention 2023 with Sandra
Cardillo.
Cardillo
Yeah.
of the Watuppa Rowing Center. She's the rowing director and rowing head coach and director of rowing.
Yes.
Yes, I got it. But it's a relatively new club, isn't it?
Yeah, so the club started in 2018, and it was just run in the summer. And it was in a technically on a function hall that was going to be demolished. So we kind of like rescue it.
Okay.
And we cleared the section. This is in
Fall River,
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And we kind of like revamped the entire building.
Yeah.
We cleaned the area. We put a dock. There was nothing there. Technically, this space was going to be demolished.
You do have a building.
We do have a boathouse,
Right.
and it's fantastic. It's very big. Yeah, so we are very like fortunately that we have a boathouse for the boat bay, and we have a fitness room, so we can have winter training where we are right now. This is our second year with winter programming with heating, so and AC.
You don't make them just get warm on their own.
Oh no! Which we did the first year. I was just I'm a trooper, so I'm like, let's power through.
Yeah.
And I started working at Watuppa in 2020, and technically it was just very small. There was nearly almost nothing, and we little by little we have building it up what it is right now. And we have 2 amazing programs running, and we're planning to start hopefully another a next one. So our main focus and emphasis is youth programs.
Yeah.
And bring the sport of rowing to the youth.
Yeah.
For free. So all our youth programs are completely free. We're trying to keep it as free for as long as we can. So we are fundraising.
That's what I was going to ask you, yeah.
And we do a lot of grant writing as much as we can. So any kid, technically any kid who like to learn how to row can come to the boathouse and learn how to row and fall in love with the sport.
So getting back to your background, I know you from community rowing in Boston.
CRI, yes.
And I was so happy to see you here at the convention. I didn't know you were here. Just, you don't know. There's 300 people here. So.
I kind of like disappeared from the Boston scene when I started working in Fall
that's
River.
Understandable.
It was COVID time, so everybody kind of like get out of the way, and I just jumped into like this, starting a new club during the biggest pandemic in the world. But I work at CRI for about 9 years.
Wow.
And I coach Row Boston, which is the inner city program. I was the coach of the novice boys coach, and I help build and recruit the boys side of Row Boston, formerly known as GROW, so girls rowing. It was only a girls, so it was only a girls rowing team, and that is what I learned to row. In 2000, I moved to the States December 2003, and I started rowing with Row Boston now in March 2004.
Right.
When I was just technically fresh off the boat, didn't speak a word of English.
No way.
I have Ellen Mitzner was my coach, and
she was there.
She was my head coach, and I remember she knew some words in Spanish, so she screamed like "duro" with the legs, like piernas.
That's duro is push, right?
Push is like hard.
Yeah.
And I thought she was crazy.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved the intensity of it. I was an athlete back home.
Yeah.
I was looking for a challenge.
Wow. And where's
and I'm from Guatemala.
Guatemala. Okay,
See.
yeah.
Yeah, so that is what I was born and raised.
Yeah.
I moved to the States when I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
On your own or with your family?
We moved with my family.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so.
Well, and so rowing, that's kind of unusual.
It's very unusual.
And you're not tall.
No.
So.
I am almost 5 feet tall. I'm 5 feet tall with shoes.
With shoes, yeah.
Put it that way.
Got it. Yeah.
So I was 110 pounds in muscle, right? I was like a spitfire. and I wanted to do a sport that had nothing to do with the school, that was challenging, and I found that rewarding. And I found this by almost by accident, by chance. And I found it interesting by a poster. And then I asked around, and I found out that there was a rowing team that didn't row at the school, but they pick up girls at the school. And I went find out. And I talked to a senior with my broken English. I just went there and asked her, like, me, you want to row? I practiced those 3 words in
Were
a post-it.
people good to you, or did you get some, like, what the heck are you talking about, sort of?
So the amazing thing about GRO, it was already an inner city
Yeah.
program.
All right, okay.
So we have, it was very diverse team from the beginning. It was coached and led by women, which is unheard of in my world, right? I'm coming from a third world country with all the coaches are male. So that was like a culture shock from the beginning. And then, but I was the only person in the entire team that did not speak English. So everybody in the team, they were like African Americans or they were like Spanish, but they were born here,
Yeah.
came very young. So they knew the language. But I was technically, for a while, was the only one who did not speak English. And
Was that stressful for you?
I think my type of personality
Yeah.
didn't allow me to
Yeah, you seem fearless.
think about it.
Yeah.
I just don't think about things.
Yeah.
I just jump into the deep end without knowing it.
You have the goal and you want to
And
get
I
there.
just, I just
yeah.
don't think. I just do, which
Yeah.
is a great thing, but also is a curse because then you are like in the deep end,
You have to
and
function.
then you're like, oh, damn,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
And like now, what can I do?
Yeah.
So it's just swim, you sink, and
Right.
so most of the time you feel like you're sinking, right? But you just try to keep you air. And I was a little like, again, I'm a little crazy, and my like I don't think about, I just do.
Yeah. I'm
and-
sort of the same way. Like a
and-
solo producer for my
and and I think that it comes from my mom and my grandmother, right? They just go-getter women,
strong women.
strong women who
Wow.
they did what they need to do.
Yeah.
And my father was the same way, right? So I have really good role models.
Yeah.
And they never told me that I should limit myself,
Right.
right? I had to be respectful with authority, right? But I could do what I wanted to do and was capable of doing anything. So I had great role models, and when I come to the States, I just tried something new and I stick to it, and I enjoyed the challenge. And 6 months, like from starting the team, I was starting to speak English. It sounded like I had a hot potato in my mouth. And little by little, I started understanding more.
And that's
Talking with
rewarding in
team.
itself, you know.
Yes.
But do you find at Watuppa that there's a lot of new immigrants that come
Oh,
into
yes.
the program?
So the amazing thing about like even Fall River and Watuppa itself, it's Fall River is a town of immigrants, especially from Portuguese and
Right.
in some like. And there's a lot of like Spanish, like and African Americans in that town. So even our team from the beginning, it is already a little diverse. And one of our goals and missions is to make sure our team, our boathouse, and in general, is representative of the town in the area that we are located. We are next to New Bedford and some other towns, and all that area has been underserved for a lot of time. Like you know about the Cape and you know about Providence, but for some reason like nothing in Fall River. So it's time. It's about time. We have about 4 acres of water.
Yeah,
of a
I was
pond.
surprised
Yes.
how
And
nice the setting is.
Yeah, and it's a pun, which I sometimes I laugh when I say that because it's 4 acres of water. We have over 4,000 meters in a straight line that we can row with nothing in between.
Not all clubs have that.
No,
I mean, no
yes.
CRI.
Like they have on the Charles, and
It's
you
nice
have it,
length, but
but it's wavy,
like
right?
this.
You can do
you must do some serious pieces out there.
when we can. I like to, we call it the finger. So you go all the way up to the
Okay.
pond,
Yeah.
and it has a little like tiny little channel.
Nice.
And that's kind of like a warm up, and then we line up,
Yeah.
and we just do like straight. I just send the two,
Right.
3 boats next to each other, and I don't have to worry about it. It's great for practicing just straight pieces. You don't have to worry about bridges and hitting anything.
Yeah.
It's just a straight shot for like 4,000 meters.
Yeah.
So
That sounds
it's amazing.
beautiful. I
place.
really need to come down and visit you, but
Please
do you
come.
do you allow
Yes,
guest rowers?
we allow guest rowers.
Or I'll come right on the
and
launch with you or something.
I have some people riding in the launch with me.
Okay.
I have some master. I'm here for like a day. Can I go and
Yeah.
row with your programs? They're like, yes, these are practice times.
Right.
Just let me know which day, and we
Good.
can inspect you and put you in
there.
stroke seat. You know.
And beforehand we were talking a little bit about kind of a regional group that you're trying to put together, rowing clubs. Is that something you're
Yes,
able to
so-
talk about?
And I think one of the things about the beautiful thing about rowing, and especially with the area that we are, because we are so new and we're trying to grow. And at least one of my goals is to expose the sport, to grow it,
Yeah.
to diversify it, to make it open to everybody and anybody, right? So we are doing a little like partnership work with a new Bedford Rowing Club. So they are like, and they have a big master's program there, and they're like building the junior side. We are also like, building our junior side, and we have a small masters.
And how close
uh,
are they to you?
About like an hour,
Okay.
give or take.
So it's not
So-
like you're competing for members necessarily.
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
it's like-
Yeah, because people
Yeah.
usually go to the club that is the closest.
Yes, of course.
Right. So, and even though we are like the towns are next to each other, they're like good hour and a half apart.
They're big towns,
But and a
yeah,
half, yes. And right now we are building a military program. So specifically only for military service
Yeah.
members, like veterans, retired, active service, Coast Guard, like anybody like that. So they currently they row for free at the club, right? They don't pay anything.
And this, you had experience with the military program when it started at CRI, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, I started coaching at CRI. I think it was 2011 or 2012, and I started coaching in the boys row Boston.
Yeah.
But then I started coaching the military program on Sunday on the weekends, the sculling practice, and I loved it. And then I started coaching during the week the sweep team for the military program at CRI.
Amazing experience for what you're doing now.
Amazing,
Yeah.
right? And being over there, and Sierra has a lot of everything. And
Yeah.
Because the place is just big, and I don't know. Like I said, I like to jump into the deep end.
Yes,
And I started like coaching para rowing.
Yeah.
Also. So there's people, and again, I work with people like with intellectual disabilities as well as physical disabilities.
Yeah.
So I have been coaching military and para rowing and juniors rowing for the past, I don't know, since 2010, 11-ish, right? And it's been amazing, very successful, and I like what CRI does, and I want to do the same thing in Watuppa, right? We're building it, and I want it to be more or less like an outreach, like club, right? When anybody who wants to learn or just curious about the sport, they can come and check it out and try it out, right? It's nothing. What is the worst thing that happened when you try it? You liked it, or like if you don't
you're
like
not gonna
it,
die.
right? You're not gonna die, right? Like I said, like the worst thing that can happen is that you're actually gonna like it,
Yeah.
right? And the worst thing is like, that was
It's
not for
going to take
me.
up all your time like it does the
Yes.
rest of us.
But it is,
Yeah.
I think it's something amazing about the sport that even though it's challenging and it's
Yeah.
very mentally and physically demanding,
Yep.
but it's also so rewarding. And the people that it is surrounded on the sport, they're kind, they're welcoming, they are helpful.
Yeah.
And they're always willing to help the next person.
And I hope
Right.
it stays that way.
And
but-
I hope
think
so
it will.
too, and I think it will.
It's kind of got enough
Moment.
critical mass. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So before we wrap up, for someone who's starting a club, what's your best advice, or two pieces of advice if you need to have two?
Be patient and take one step at a time.
Okay.
I think that's one of my things is even though we're doing great and I'm always I think in my head I'm like 6 months a year ahead where I what I'm going to like okay so I gotta be with 30 kids and I gotta be with 60 kids right so and then I look where we are right now and it's like oh but I only have well I want 60 but I only have 30 right so
don't-
I had to remind myself like this is my second year right? With a youth program, a full year like program with summer, winter, spring, fall, with racing, right? So having 30 kids in a regular season, 15 kids in the winter,
Yeah.
which kid wants to like like go in the boathouse and just pull crazy, be on the erg? No one, right? So the fact that we have 15 kids who have never heard about rowing or touch a oar in
That's
this
just
life, for
1,000% more than was there before.
Exactly.
So don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yes, so
Make it good what you're doing,
exactly.
but not.
So right
try
now
to
it's
do
just
everything.
like building it and creating
Yeah.
this amazing culture of like welcoming and it at least this is what I like to teach is just like everybody's different, no matter like what, like
Yeah.
height, ethnicity, or like where you're from, or even if you look alike or not, there's always something different,
Love
right?
it.
And that it changes. It can be big or it can be small, right? It's like you have a nose, I have a nose, right? Are the same? No, but we also have it. So it's kind of like the way that I think about things. So
I
it's
think
the
that's,
same thing.
you have really
And-
inspired a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
remember seeing you at 5:30 in the morning at Sierra. But thank you so much for coming by.
Oh
and
no, thank you,
speaking with-
thank you for inviting me to
Yeah.
speak with you.
And let me come down and do a spotlight on your club.
I would love
because
that. I would love that. So you
and
can come and see the boathouse.
I would love
and,
that,
and the
yeah.
body of water that we have. Meet some of our juniors, which I believe they are like the starts of the entire program.
Yeah.
And hopefully coming up our military program and potentially even para athletes coming soon.
I know you're going to do it.
Oh yes,
I know
we are
it.
gonna do it. It's just one step at a time, and I need to be patient.
Yeah.
And
Tell yourself
yes,
you
I
need to be
tell myself to we're doing fantastic from
Yeah.
where we were a year ago and now.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you so much for coming by, and we'll be following your progress.
well,
so
thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to speak with you.
Likewise.
And we like get in contact. I haven't seen you forever.
I know. It's just it's so nice to be at the U.S. Rowing Convention and see people like Sandra in real life. It's indescribably wonderful. So please tune in and let us know what you think of the broadcasts. Thank you. Bye. Are we?